Everybody, it's Sherry. I wanted to do a video today. I've been veering a little bit from the 3D interference because I think that some of these other topics are extremely important and relevant right now because of a lot of transitions taking place, and a lot of us are being tested in our willpower and our ability to use our discernment and so many different things. And that I feel like some of these topics that I am feeling called to bring forward right now are really relevant. And so I will go back to a lot of the 3D interference that I haven't gotten to yet. But the body talk video I did the other day, I think was very well received. And in fact, I think I'm going to do, I want to do a part 2 with the Ascension symptoms, but I think I need to do maybe even before that, I want to do a part 1A or something on some physical ailments that people are asking me a lot about. And there seems to be a lot of questions about certain things. So I want to do that next, and then I'll get to the Ascension symptoms. And then I'll try to get back onto the 3D interference. But for right now, I think one of the most important topics is the, man, it's really bright. I'm next to a window and it's super bright right now. Sorry, I need sunglasses. I titled this, You Are Not for Everyone. And the reason I think this is an important subject to talk about right now, and I did talk about this, there's a brief chapter in my first book, Intuitive Transformation Evolution, where I go into kind of the you are not for everyone topic. And I introduced that. I'm not saying I'm the only one that's ever talked about you are not for everyone kind of ideal, but I did bring that up in the first book because I thought it was really relevant to what I was speaking about. And the first book that I wrote is really more of like a introductory spiritual journey, like those that are embarking on their spiritual journey and are looking for guidance and how to forgive and understanding emotions. And even those, I mean, a lot of people have read my book that are Reiki masters that found it helpful. So I think it's just it's all about how things are said and how they're received. That can really affect people in different ways and on various levels of your spiritual journey and your awakening. So you never know who can teach you something, even somebody that you feel is newer at something than you are. So that's why we try to keep an open mind. So anyways, I have a chapter in that first book called You Are Not for Everyone. And the reason I brought it up then and the reason I'm bringing it up now is because I saw a lot of people throughout my life. Again, I feel the fact that I'm very introverted and shy and quiet and very reserved throughout my life. It made me a very good observer. And I think I am very good at observing my environment and observing people around me. And kind of, I've always had this gift of being able to see beyond what they are, kind of the show that they're putting on and what's behind that, and kind of intuitively just tapping into a deeper version of themselves. Sometimes it made them uncomfortable and it wasn't a purposeful thing. It's just something I do naturally, I think. And so what I noticed throughout my journey as a young woman and even through adulthood is that I see myself observing many people, and this was me for a brief period in my life as well, when I was much younger, where we feel like we want to just fit in. We don't want to feel like we're different anymore. We don't want to feel like we are on the outside anymore. We don't want to feel like we are just that one person that everyone is like, oh, what's the deal with him? What's the deal with her? She's weird, he's weird, that sort of thing. Like, and I see this a lot with children. They have these spiritual gifts, but they don't want to embrace them because they are embarrassed or they're shy about it. And they see that when they go to school and they're exposed to more children their age, they start to notice where, children are also natural observers because they want to see where they fit in, and they observe like kind of a natural habitat around them so that they can see where to insert themselves. It's a natural behavior. And one of those behaviors is to kind of observe what everyone else is doing. And if other children aren't talking about angels and they're not talking about these spiritual gifts that they have, but they're feeling like, they're seeing all these things and wanting to talk about it, they will reserve that because they in fear of ridicule or being made fun of or just being that outsider. And if no one else is talking about it, then they internalize it as, well, maybe something is wrong with me, or maybe this is not a gift. And then, if the parents aren't open to it and they don't have anyone to talk to about it at home either, they tend to eventually close it off, which is why that ages of like 6 to 8 is a really important stage in young minds, young ones, because they're very impressionable. And they can either tap into their gifts and accelerate them, or that's the period in which they start to close it off. And then they'll go into adulthood and say, yeah, I remember when I was a child and I could do this, or I saw this, or I was able to do these things. And then, I don't know what happened. And then as an adult, they're blocked and they're feeling blocked, and they are unattached from the spiritual side. And so that's what a majority of the population, I think, is going through right now, whether they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I mean, like I said, I've worked with almost every age group, and they're waking up at some point and they're wishing that they still had those abilities that they had once that they once had. But it's out of a survival instinct. We are primal human species that the reason we've lasted this long and we keep evolving to some degree, although limited, is because of our tenacity, our ability to thrive in environments. We're very adaptable. Human beings are pretty adaptable to some degree. And part of that is, okay, how do we blend? How do we put all of our resources so we can group them together? And people are pretty good at that. But sometimes we put a side of ourselves or a version of ourselves forward that is likable to everybody else, but it's not our true authentic self. And I think that many of us have experienced that at least once in their life, if not their whole life, they've felt that way. And I think that for a majority of my life, I've felt that way as well, where I just kept a lot of it to myself because I felt like I was already that weird, awkward kid. So like, let's not make it worse. So, and I don't want any more reason for somebody to target me to, say that she's the weirdo new girl at the school. So I just hid that version of myself. And so I think that we are programmed in many different ways in our youth and our young adulthood to blend in so that we can fit in. So this is for a sense of survival, for a sense of adaptability, so that we are not on the outside. Because a lot of the starseeds that I work with, unfortunately, that are anywhere from preteen, mostly preteen into their teen years, they don't want to shine in that way. They say, Sherri, I don't want to have these gifts. I don't want to be different. Why can't I just be like everyone else? Why can't I enjoy the parties, and why can't I enjoy the drama and all these things that they're naturally repelled by, but they don't want to be, because that is what's keeping them distant from the kind of the popular norm of the children and that they're around, or the other teens, and they don't want that. So then they will fake it. Eventually a lot of them will fake it, and then will go out and they'll pretend to like certain things, or they'll pretend to like the music that everyone else likes. They'll pretend to like the food, the clothes, the this, the that. And then they will eventually, through faking it, become it. And then they become this alternate version of themselves. And before they know it, they don't even realize that they've lost that essence, that original authenticity about themselves. That organic nature that they had is so far behind, or so far suppressed, that they don't even know where that person went. And then they struggle in adulthood trying to retrace their steps and get that aspect of them back. So the "you are not for everyone" aspect of this is to let people know, listen, if you're the type of person that wants everybody to like you, you feel like you crave this sense of belonging, and with that you feel like people need to like you. It's your burden to make sure that you are a likable person. And if someone doesn't like you, there must be something that you need to fix. And you're constantly seeking validation from the people that you surround yourself with, for the validation that you're seeking, which is, to feel like you fit in, to feel like you're like everybody else, and that you're liked, or that you're loved. Maybe you weren't loved by your family or your parents, so you're just seeking to fit in somewhere. So just so you could get some attention, just so you could feel like you are loved, wanted, or you belong somewhere. All natural and normal behaviors. Again, I experienced this for a lot of my life, being the new kid, going from going from school to school, state to state, always being that new girl that was bullied all the time. I longed, I prayed, I cried to fit in, just because I wanted it to stop. I wanted the pain to stop. But then through that journey of wanting to fit in, I became very angry and bitter and frustrated. And then I turned to just pure hatred for everybody. And I stopped caring what anyone thought about me, and I went the opposite direction. And so it's a really challenging, it's really challenging to navigate through that wanting to belong, because there are boundaries that we need to put in place. And when we get to a point in our kind of evolution, or our consciousness or our state of awareness, when we finally recognize that we are not for everyone, and that is okay, then we stop fighting this battle against ourselves, against thinking that the world is against us. And all these people, you could have 100 friends, but if that one person that you meet doesn't like you, you feel defeated. And we have to deprogram ourselves from thinking that we need to receive validation from everybody around us, when in reality, if we just stand in our own power and accept ourselves for who we are and embrace our authenticity, then we will attract the people that we resonate with. So because we are all vibrating at different frequencies, now I talk about this in the first book extensively, because we are energetic beings, we can, what I call the emotional high rise, our frequency or our energy based on depicted by our emotions, can fluctuate all day long based on our experiences. So we can wake up in a high vibration, I feel good, I feel like I can take on the day, I'm motivated, I'm happy, I'm excited. Great, that's a high vibration. And then you get into your car and you have a long commute, and then you drop in vibration because you're getting cut off, you have road rage now, you're worried about being late, you're stressed, you're whatever. Now when you're low vibration, the emotions that you attract at that point start to come to the surface. Now you're frustrated about, oh no, once I get to work, these are all the things that I need to do. And suddenly you found yourself in a low vibration. Then you go to work and maybe you have your lunch break, you're with your friends, you're talking about what you're going to do on the weekend, your vibration goes up again. So my point being, all day long, our vibrations fluctuate, and that is part of the human experience. That is important, and we should honor the emotions that we are feeling based on the experiences that we are having. That's all normal. But our overall vibration, what Sherri tends to be a majority of the time. Is this person genuinely a humble person that's kind and considerate to others and accepting and loving, but also grounded and centered? Or is this person arrogant, egotistical, judgmental, just bitter, angry person? And then, of course, there's a million variations in between. So whatever you are, a majority of the time. Now you have off days, so that humble, kind person can have days of just pure pissed offness. They're angry and they just, they're just, they have their moment where they're just feeling their feelings, and that's okay. And then the ego-driven person could have a moment of vulnerability. Maybe a family member is sick and they go to visit them, and they just let their guard down, and they finally are just themselves, and they're not trying to show off to everybody, and their ego just kind of takes that chills for a moment, and then their family is able to see their loving side that they don't get to see very often. So everybody, it shifts all the time. But whatever you are a majority of the time, that is your soul signature. That is based on your consciousness and how you've evolved and changed over time, other lifetimes, the wisdom that you're pulling in from your higher consciousness, your soul, your spirit is going to determine a lot of what your soul signature looks like. What are you vibrating at? What is the density of consciousness that you are in a majority of the time? That is your predominant or your dominant energy. Now, let's put a number on it. Let's say that you resonate at a frequency of X, and someone else majority of the time resonates at a frequency of Y and Z and so forth. You and Y and Z may be genuinely great people. They may fall in the spectrum of kind of in between the two extremes that I mentioned. but they just, no matter what, when they're together, they just bring out the worst in each other. They can't be in the same room as each other. They just can't be happy for each other. And this may not have anything to do with past lives. Okay. This is aside from karma contracts, and things that they're working through. It has nothing to do with that. I mean, it does, that is a version of it, but I'm not talking about that right now. I'm just simply talking about the resonance in which I vibrate and the resonance in which this other person vibrates. When we are together, it's like two polar opposites. It's just, you're not fitting together. It's like we can't jive. Our frequencies, when they're together, they become distorted, fragmented, and they almost buzz, and they don't do well together. Where if I am with somebody else and their vibration is similar to mine, it doesn't have to match exactly. I mean, there is no such thing. No one matches to a T exactly, but it's close, within a certain energy resonance. Then the other two can be together and seemingly very harmonic and just flow with each other and get together, seem to get along really well. Is there something wrong with the other person that the main person couldn't get along with? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong with any of the people or anyone. It just means that for whatever reason, there's a lot of reasons, but you are not able to fit in with that person. Aside from karmic energy and contracts and all of that stuff, it could just be that your body is seeking an energy that is not what they're giving off. And with them being around you, your body is sending a signal out to your consciousness, your mind, saying, I don't like this person. They make me uncomfortable. Again, they may not be doing anything wrong. It's just that they are either revealing something inside of you or showing a version of them that you're not ready to heal yet. They are projecting a version of them that you don't like about yourself, or simply the energy that they're giving off is just not jiving with yours. And it could be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be anything other than, at this point, when I'm around that person, even their voice irritates me, and they haven't done anything wrong. They're the nicest man, they're the nicest woman. But they just aggravate the shit out of me. And there's nothing wrong with that person necessarily. They could have a lot of friends, and all your friends could say, well, I'm totally fine with him or her. That's so weird. She or he never did anything to me. Again, it's not that they did anything. It's not that they said anything. It's the energy that they're giving off. Because remember, one person's here, one person's here. We have an auric field that expands if you're in a low vibration, 2 to 3 feet, but someone that's a high vibrational energy can expand 6 to 8 feet, sometimes even bigger. Children, the children that I work with, their energy field expands 10, 12 feet sometimes even more, sometimes the same as a horse, which can expand an entire football field. So imagine this person giving off, when I teach energy healing and stuff, this person is vibrating and they're giving off this resonance of energy, right? So just regardless, no one's thinking about it, just in all directions, this person is giving energy out and it's vibrating out their resonance, their frequency, this energy that they are vibrating in. And if the person next to them comes over and the energy that they're giving off, that they're vibrating out, again, it's just what they are. If the two energies eventually meet somewhere in the middle, they're going to send a signal back to themselves that, oh, I just felt this person's energy, and this person just felt this person's energy, and it's now come back to their energy field. And well, a couple of things are going to happen. One, it's like, alert, I don't like this. Something's wrong. If this person is not feeling the energy that this person's giving off, this person is going to start feeling on edge, heart flutters, heart palpitations, or irritability, even anger, depending on what this person is giving off. Again, don't even have to say anything. Again, this could be completely like energetic exchange. No words have been even given yet. Just you could be meeting them for the first time. And same with the other person. So this person is getting the energy signature from this person, and it hits them, and they might feel, oh, I instantly trust this person. I feel comfortable around this person. They are just magnificent. Oh my gosh, I just feel like the slice of heaven when I'm around them. So it depends on so many variations, so many factors, but it's not anything necessarily. I'm not talking about the conscious thoughts. The person over here given off, one person giving off negative energy, one person giving off positive energy. It may not even have anything to do with their thoughts. They might be even thinking neutral. Of course, if they're thinking negative thoughts and they have entities attached to them, I mean, these are all things like are obvious. If this person has a bunch of entity attachments, then this person's subtle body, the energy body, is going to be like, oh, alert, alert, this is not good. And then the nervous system over here will respond, and you'll start to breathe heavier. You'll start to feel nervousness and all the subtle signs and the physical signs. But you won't have any necessarily a reason to, like, where's this coming from? Well, they've got entities attached that are taunting you or don't like you. Maybe your light is really strong and they're dark and they are threatened by your light. So they're going to send negative energy to you, like beacons of negative energy to you to get you away because you're threatening their host. So this person might be attracting all these negative energy entities around, and the light in you is going to threaten the darkness in this person that is amplified in that moment, if that makes sense. So there's so many variations to so many different things. And because the more multidimensional humans become as we start to ascend and we evolve and we what's the word I'm trying to think of? We integrate more with our multi-dimensional selves and even tap into other versions of ourselves and other realities, which many people are doing spontaneously right now. The more we are going to perceive, the more we're going to have to funnel through our perception, the more we're going to have to understand, but also the more other people are going to pick up on. And we don't need to understand all the parts, all the elements. In fact, I think it might be even too overwhelming for us to try to discern all of that consciously. Subconsciously, we're taking it all in. We know everything, but we have to filter it through the brain, and we have to perceive it. We have to understand it. And sometimes I think it's just too much for us to understand all the elements. So my point in all of this, and why I wrote about this in the first book, and why I'm bringing it up now all these years later, is because, one, it's just as relevant now as it was then. But I think in this awakening period where people are discovering who they are, their authentic self, they're starting to shed the layers of programming, and now they're seeking, their beacons of light are seeking like-minded friends and people that they can confide in, that they can become friends with, that they can feel like they want to find someone that they resonate with. We might actually repel more people than we attract, because there's so many more people around us that are still programmed and still anchored in 3D, that you're going to start to feel like you are the only one in a sea of lost souls. And that's what my video weeks ago was about. Are you feeling like you're in between two realities? So that's when you have to stand in your power and say, okay, you know what? I accept the fact that not everyone's going to like me and the person that I'm becoming. And that's okay, because I'm going to attract those that are going to resonate with who I am and who I'm becoming. And they're going to accept me for who I am. And I'm going to accept them for who they are. And you're going to start to see a purging of old friends and a surfacing or an emergence of people that are much more in alignment with your resonance now. And the people that are not in your resonance anymore are actually going to feel like they're getting further and further apart from you, and you're almost going to feel sick around them, or you just can't understand a time where you were happy in their presence. And it's going to start to become cloudy, and it's going to start to feel awkward and uncomfortable the more you resist and the more time you try to force it. Or to receive acceptance and validation. Because if you're changing and the people that you used to associate with the majority of the time are not changing, they're not seeing the truth and the reality, they are still continuing to do destructive behaviors and activities and things like that, and they're not seeing through the illusion, they're also going to look at you like you're the problem. And people who are stuck in who they are in the vibration that they are currently in, that's not serving their highest good, are not going to want to be around the people that reveal something inside them that needs to change, because they're not ready for it yet. So you have to try not to take it personal, that this person is not pushing me away because I did something wrong necessarily. It's because I'm changing and I'm evolving, and they're not ready to do that yet. But you don't shame them for it. You don't hate them because of it. You just accept the fact that you need to distance yourself from that person, because it's not your burden to bear the responsibility of making that person change. In fact, I think that's the worst thing people can do right now, is try to force an awakening on somebody, because we don't know all the elements, and we don't know what that soul signed up for. We don't know if they're blocked on purpose, and we have to resist the urge to save everybody, because we can't. So we will save those that are in resonance with us and are willing to change, and everybody else. It's not that you're saying peace out, bye, and you're leaving them high and dry, but you are creating boundaries so that you can attract those that are ready. And the ones that you attract that are ready are also going to be the ones that are going to help lift you up and accelerate your spiritual awakening even more than you could have even imagined. So you are not for everyone is really important to remember right now. It's not your burden for everybody to like you. In fact, the more people that don't like you is validation that you are changing into another version of yourself. Another aspect of yourself is shining that they might not necessarily like, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It means that you are evolving into something, a shift is occurring, and you're evolving into another version of yourself, a better version of yourself. And if they're not ready to see it or accept it or join you, they are going to feel uncomfortable around you, and they're not going to give you the validation that they seek, that you seek. If anything, they're going to pull you down, because their attitude, their thoughts and everything is going to be in a lower vibrational energy, and it's going to be detrimental to your ability to continue moving forward. So again, you are not for everybody has a lot to do with energy right now, and the more multidimensional aspects of us shine. We are shifting and evolving. Our bodies are changing. Everything about us is changing. The way we look at life, the way we even completely contrast than we used to our whole life. Like suddenly we're like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't resonate with that anymore. I don't like these foods anymore. I don't like that music anymore. I don't want to wear those clothes anymore. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And they're looking at you like, dude, what's your problem? Like, you think you're better than us? No, you're evolving and you're changing, and you're not shaming them for what they're doing, but you are just saying, I'm just moving in a direction that feels comfortable and feels right for me. And I'm going to distance myself and create boundaries right now. But hey, I hope to meet up with you later. I'm going to say this till I'm blue in my face. It's not bye forever. It's just bye for right now. So, and we don't know, but it's possible that people do better with their healing when they separate themselves from somebody, because sometimes we pull each other down, and we don't mean to, but misery loves company. That's a really true statement. And that's because the vibration of low vibration of that misery and inability to change, or inability to seek change out of fear or a million other reasons, doesn't want to be left behind. So if your best friend, you're wanting to change, and your best friend is stuck, they don't want you to leave them behind. So they're going to pull you down. Maybe not even consciously. Maybe they're not doing it on purpose. Maybe it's a subconscious thing. Maybe it isn't. The point is that they don't want to be left behind. I mean, nobody wants to be left behind. And then they might have jealousy and resentment for you and what you're doing. And then there's going to be a rift in between the two of you. And then it's going to cause all sorts of other issues. So you are not for everybody, and that's okay. We don't need everybody to like us. We want to be kind to each other, and respect each other's boundaries, and respect the time in which we heal, because some of us need more time than others. Some of us aren't ready. So we say, okay, well, I'm going to focus on, and that's why if we focus on ourselves right now, then eventually those people may or may not catch up, and that's okay. But you will start to attract people that are further along than you, that can help bring you forward, because now the high vibrational beings are like, yeah, I see you coming, reach out their hand, and they're going to help pull you and accelerate your healing forward. That's what you want. You don't want to be pulled back. You want to find the people that are already living it, that are already embodying it to the most. You don't have to find the masters at it, just the people who are at least heading in the right direction. Like find the fish in the sea that are all in that like one group, like join the group that's kind of moving along, and they are like focused. Don't go backwards with the other group, that you're just swimming in circles. That was a terrible metaphor, but I think it makes sense. So, you are going to move forward if you surround yourself with people who are like-minded, who are on a similar journey, who are open to it. And then you can help each other. So we're not in that misery loves company anymore. We're in the energy of upliftment, of building bridges, and collaboration, which is one of my favorite things, to collaborate. We're not in competition anymore. We are soaring. We are soaring, and we are experiencing, and we are open to new possibilities. We're not stuck in the past, and the last thing I'll say today is getting out of the loop is really important. Again, that's another chapter in my first book, but I'm working on my fourth book right now called Courage to Change, the Freedom Movement. And a lot of this book is going to be centered on part 2 of Starseeds and the Great Awakening. But I'm going to pull elements from a lot of places. And it's going to be about, how do we make the change? How do we get the courage to stand out and not be that scared child who wants to fit in, so you blend in? How do we persevere through that? And how do we have the courage to stand up and say no, and have the conviction that, no, this is how I'm doing it. You either join me or I'm sorry, I'm moving forward. And if that means that I lose you in my life, I'm sorry, but this is what I need to do for myself. This is what I need to do for my family, or whatever situation that you're in. So getting out of the loop is an important aspect of that, because we get in these loops of repetition. So it's like the hamster wheel. We just get in a cycle, and we don't realize we're in a cycle. So we make the same choices every single day. And that's and addicts are in that regard. Every day at 5 o'clock, it's like this subliminal or energetic time clock that goes off, and it says, I got to have a drink. It's 5 o'clock. That's why we have that saying, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. And then every day it's like your body lets you know, hey, it's 5 o'clock. Next thing you know, you passed out drunk, or, because you just couldn't stop. And that's a pattern. And our bodies rely on patterns too, and repetition. So they get used to those patterns, and then they follow it. We don't even realize it. But we can break those patterns by making different choices, getting out of the loop, and creating new pathways. And it's easier. It really, truly is easier than you think it is. It's just about recognizing that you're in a loop to begin with. You're making the same choices day after day, and it's not getting you anywhere. And you say, I'm going to step out of that, and I'm going to make new choices, create new pathways, not to jump from one wheel to another. We don't want to go from one loop to another, but we go from a loop to a line that is ever changing and evolving and shifting and taking new turns. And, it's okay if you make a mistake, you go and you just make a U-turn, and then you go back and you start again. And if you make a mistake, you make a U-turn, and that's it. It's just mindfulness. It's an acute awareness of what's in your highest good. I think a lot of us are programmed throughout our life to not put ourselves first. And so we don't have the forethought of, is this in my highest good? Because we're thinking, okay, is this best for my children? Is this best for my spouse? Is this going to make my friends happy? Or is this the easiest thing? Is this the best thing I can do to create the less ripples within this group? Am I going to get the least amount of tension as a result of this? But we rarely do we follow our instinct to do something that is against the grain, because it's for our highest good. So getting out of the loop is a significant part of that. So recognizing that you are not for everybody, and that's okay. Developing recognizing your authentic self, and just tapping into this better version of you that's continuously evolving. We never get to the best version of ourselves. I don't think that actually exists, but we can continue. It's a continual evolution of being better every single. My favorite statement that I put in different various places is, every day is a new opportunity to be a better version of you. So if you have days where you feel like it were epic fails, and I have them, you just say, I'll do better tomorrow. And you don't go down the shame spiral. And the next day you just say, all right, clean slate. To now I'm walking that path, and maybe I'm going to make a U-turn, and I'm just going to, or I'm going to pivot. I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm not going to make the same mistakes as I did yesterday, and I'm going to do better. And even if you make in your loop, maybe you make the same 10 steps every single day, that immediately puts you back into that spiral of repetition. So you can work up to it. So maybe the next day you do 9 of the same things, but one of those things you change. And then eventually you'll get to a point where you've done enough change that it's actually easy for you, and you can do knock 2 or 3 things off that list. It becomes easier as you reprogram the brain. The body listens because our higher self is bringing in more light through, and we have the ability to tap into our intuition and trust our knowing, and we have more bravery. We have faith, and there's no boundaries to what we can do when we feel it. And it starts with ourselves. So I can't tell you that. Your mom can't tell you that. Your dad can't tell you that. Your spouse can't tell you that. You have to believe it in yourself. It doesn't matter what I say or anyone else says. You have to look in the mirror and say, yeah, I can do that. I am a powerful being. You know, when my daughter complains about being taunted by shadow beings and woken up in the middle of the night and nightmares, I tell her, you stand up in your room right now and you say, I am Aramis Divband, and I'm a powerful warrior, and I will not be controlled by anybody, and I am in control, and I'm a powerful woman. And we just say these things over and over and over again. I do not consent. Adults, we all need to do that. We need to stand in our power and say, I do not consent to 3D interference. I am a powerful warrior spirit. I am I am of the light. I am divinely supported, loved, and protected by the universe. And I embrace my authenticity and my organic self. And you will begin to create new pathways, and you will attract new people into your life, and you will no longer care what anybody thinks about you. Of course, there's moments, we're human, where we feel like, gosh, that hurt. I really like that person and I wanted them to like me, and it's going to hurt. It's going to sting sometimes. It happens to me too. Sometimes it's happened recently where I'm like, man, why did that person like me? Like, what the heck did I do? And I get on myself, and then but I have to remind myself quickly, Sherri, it's not you. Now, if I did something wrong and I was a total jerk to them or whatever, that would be my bad. But if you are racking your brain and you're like, I really didn't do anything differently than I would normally do, and I feel like I was, whatever, all the things. It just means that they're not ready to be around you. You're bringing out something in them. They're not ready to heal yet. You're bringing out something in them that they don't like, even, or whatever it may be. But the point is, it doesn't even matter. So you say, I wish them all the best, and you move on. And I just want everybody to try this exercise and just rethink and reevaluate so many different things moving forward, and just reshape the way you think to help you deprogram and get out of the loop. So I hope that this made sense to everybody. I mean, there's always way more that I could say, but I just don't want to keep talking and say the same thing repeatedly over and over and starting my own loop. So I hope this makes sense. I will get on the part 2 of the body talk symptoms really soon. As soon as I can, I'll do wisdom teeth, the middle of the body, a couple of other things. I have a list of things that I've seen that people are asking, so I'll try to get through as much as possible. And again, I don't know everything. I only talk about the things that I feel comfortable, and if I know it, I'll talk about it. If I don't, I'll say, oh, I don't know. But that'll be coming really soon. So you are not for everybody, but you are beautiful the way you are, and you are ever evolving, and you are changing at your own pace, at your own speed, and that is okay. And you will attract those people that are in resonance with you along your journey. And that, again, that can change. People can come into your path for a few weeks that uplift you and help you shine. And then next thing you know, they're gone, and you're like, where did that person go? They were just in your life for a period of time to help you grow, to help you nurture and feel supported. So we will attract the right people as we go on our way through our spiritual path that are short-term and or long-term characters in our life. And that is okay, as long as we remain in our authenticity, man, I can't speak today, in our authentic self, our authenticity. And we are making choices and decisions that meet our highest good, and your family's highest good, or whomever is in your circle. So with that being said, I hope that this video today found you all well. I hope that I continue to bring forward helpful information. So if you feel that this was helpful, please feel free to share it or like it, or all the things. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.